One is that, and you're right, we do have reports, and I can, in fact, if you go to my website, fleming.house.gov, you can connect to a pamphlet, a document that actually documents a number of examples of where military chaplains, active duty military members, have either been threatened with or charged with administrative or judicial punishment for doing things that would be considered ordinary signs of religious expression. Having a Bible on their desk, chaplain, we've had several instances where chaplains planned to pray, Christian chaplains at a Christian funeral, and they had to have their prayer approved ahead of time, and the word Jesus was marked out. What happened to the First Amendment? I mean, after all, they are Christian chaplains. Now, what is a chaplain? The chaplain is a person of faith who is assigned to a secular organization. Could be Congress. We have 2 chaplains in Congress, one for each chamber. It could be the military. It could be the sheriff's department. We have chaplains everywhere. They're not necessarily Christians. They can be Muslim. They can be Jewish. We even have Wiccan chaplains, believe it or not. We have Hindu chaplains. We have chaplains of all sorts. I think there's something like 200 different religious organizations, Unitarian, Universalists, and so on. But the one thing they all have in common is they believe in a spiritual world. They believe in life after death to one extent or another. Well, it's important to know that you have a person of faith connected to a secular body, and we have now atheists who want to actually substitute chaplains, ordinary chaplains, with atheist chaplains. With, humanist secular chaplains. Well, that's an oxymoron. I mean, the whole point of a chaplain is somebody, a person of faith who believes in some kind of spiritual life or spiritual being, who is assigned to a secular organization. Now, we have plenty of secular counselors. We have lawyers, we have doctors, we have psychiatrists, we have social workers, all sorts of counselors who are secular and who will leave all of the spiritual stuff to the chaplains. But remember, we have a defined number of billing spots for chaplains. And so if you replace a Catholic chaplain with an atheist chaplain, then you just lost one chaplain. And here's the other thing. Can you just think through this? Remember that you can't have a chaplain of every faith in every part of the world. So here we are in the field. We're in a field hospital. And you have a young soldier dying of his wounds, her wounds. And you have one chaplain who's assigned, and it's an atheist chaplain. So what does an atheist chaplain say to a dying soldier? The dying soldier says, well, is this the end? Do I have hope? The chaplain says, no. Because again, by definition, if you're atheist, you don't believe it. You don't believe it. Now, having said that, chaplains, Christian chaplains, and other faith groups will recognize and certainly work with someone who is not, who is an atheist, and say, I understand your beliefs. Do you mind if I share mine? And if they say no, then they respect that, and that's where it ends. The Navy was actually in the process of hiring an atheist chaplain. We got word of this. Also, Democrats in Congress tried to pass a bill that would allow for atheist chaplains, both in committee that I'm on services, and in the floor. We blocked it at both levels with overwhelming votes. And now I've put an amendment in the funding of the Department of Defense that would prevent any funding for atheist chaplains. And that passed. So we hope to get that all the way through. But we had to deal with this other issue, and that's religious freedom. Because what the law says is that military members are entitled to their belief. Now, intuitively, you say, well, if you're entitled to your belief, then if you're talking to somebody under the First Amendment, you can share your belief, right? Well, the military is now interpreting that differently. It means you can believe what you can believe, but you can't tell anybody. Well, I don't need a law to tell me that. The law can't keep me from believing anything. So what is the purpose of a law that says you can believe what you can believe? And so what I did is I amended that with amendment in the House in the National Defense Authorization Act that would say that not only are you entitled to your beliefs, but religious expression and religious actions. Within the limits of good order and discipline and military necessity. It passed with bipartisan support in the House, both in committee and full House. Senator Lee, Senator Cruz picked that up in the Senate. It passed in the same committee there. Half the Democrats voted for it. The president is threatening to veto it. He's not comfortable with your religious liberty. Well, I'm sorry. We also have a local situation where the young Marines, you all heard about the young Marines program, they lost their funding as a result of the fact that they had group prayer. Now, voluntary prayer, but it was group prayer. And we looked at that, we've had constitutional lawyers look at that, and they say, it's done all the time. But the Department of Justice says, no, you can't do it.
Why have y'all let the Department of Justice, and why has the government itself run so crazy that it's lost all its aspects of how life really is?
Well, his question is, the Department of Justice, which is led by Eric Holder and the president, his boss, their job in the executive branch is to enforce the laws. Okay? My job as a legislator, as a member of Congress, is to create laws. It is not my job to enforce laws. I don't have the enforcement powers of the Constitution. Those lie with the Department of Justice. So if the Department of Justice doesn't follow the law, we don't have any constitutional police. I've never met a man who said, hi, I'm a constitutional policeman. There is no such thing. We have to depend on the political process and people to do their job. And so if you have a complaint about the Department of Justice not enforcing the law, you need to take it up to the Department of Justice.
I think we do have constitutional police. Look at them.
No, we do not have police powers.
I think it's your job to uphold the Constitution for us.
It is my job to uphold the Constitution, but I don't have enforcement powers. This thing.
Probably from Phil. I've been jotting down some things. I'm just listening to what you said about it. You gotta have respect for the officers on the office. Just like,
Speak up.
okay, I understand. Respect for the office that is held.
No, I said respect for people, not
Well,
necessarily.
I'm talking about the office.
Oh, okay.
Your
Sure.
office,
Yeah.
your president's office.
Sure.
And we have young people that we teach to say President of the United States. Why in Congress, or do y'all just say Obama? Another thing, the Affordable Care Act. Why can't y'all say the whole title of the act? Just saying Obama care may inflame people either way on either side of that aisle. But why can't we just say what it is really called, the Affordable Care Act?
Well,
And I'm not.
yeah. Well, let me take.
No, let me finish, so we can get off someplace.
No.
Now, the reason that I'm really standing,
I'll answer the
Let
last
him
question.
speak.
There was a second part of that question over here
Okay,
first.
we'll go back to him after that,
Okay.
but again, if you want me to answer your questions, then you're gonna have to give me an opportunity. If you're gonna march through with multiple questions, I'll just answer your last question. We'll let that do.
I am a veteran of the United States Army. And once I got out of the military, I never used the VA system, so I always had my public private insurance. And it seems like now, during the Department of Veterans Affairs, when a veteran tries to apply for things that happen to him in the military, there is a long, drawn-out process. They'll delay it for 2 years, then they'll deny it and ask you to file all over again. Now, I've been through this process twice. I've sent them my records in the military where the incident happened, and still they deny it. There's a bureaucrat someplace that just looks at these things and just checks them off. There's a theory among veterans that they just wait for you to die off and the claim will never be done. Is there anything that can be done about the Department of Veterans Affairs to really get into these problems that these veterans are having?
Okay.
That's one thing you need to respond.
There is a tremendous backlog, as you know, from the Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, look, the VA is very well funded. There are plenty of people why they can't get their job done is a mystery to all of us in Congress. Having said that, have you worked with our staff on this?
I didn't know.
Okay, because I invite you to do that. We are able to break through the bureaucracy at times, but sometimes it is that. It just lies on the desk someplace and nobody knows about it. So we can't get it in front of somebody unless we know about it, of course, and we're happy to do this. But it is a tremendous, I understand the backlog has come down some. Of course, we're in a post-war environment, so you're going to naturally see a spike in applications. But having said that, nobody can really give us a good answer why there's still this backlog. I agree with you. It's
You
inappropriate.
having hearings on that?
I'm not on the VA committee, and yes, there have been hearings, but I couldn't tell you exactly what the results have been, except that we're all mystified. What's the problem? And they give us technocrat kind of answers. They don't give us any real straightforward answers. Just excuses, to be honest with you. So I would just say to you that there are two things going on. One is just a big backlog for whatever bureaucratic reason is there. And the other is that things get lost in the shuffle, and we can help you with the second. If that's what's going on, we can get it in front of somebody and get a determination, and we're happy to do that. As to your other question about the highway system, you know what? It's interesting. The problem we have with highways is twofold. Number one is the gasoline tax is flattened out. The revenue stays flat. And the reason is, they tell us, is that cars are more and more fuel efficient, and therefore people are not filling up their tanks as often as maybe they did before, and as a result, the tax revenues are down. And there are some things we've done to try to improve that. I'll explain in a minute, but the revenue is flat, so building and maintaining highways is a big, big problem. But number two is the cost keeps going up, and it's because of the government. They want to add things like bike trails and nature trails. I mean, it's just on and on and on. All the things, because you've got a bunch of bureaucrats up there who daydream about all the wonderful things that we should have in this country, never considering the fact that there ain't money to pay for it. So if you can't afford to build another mile of highway, then such things as frontage roads and that sort of thing gets lost in the shuffle. And I agree with you. You need to have access to commerce, and commerce access to traffic. That's good for business. And we have the potential here for a tremendous distribution system that could be very, very powerful. But